partnership between NATO and Georgia is very active. Georgia is one of the closest partners to NATO. We have a very rich agenda, both in terms of practical activities, and the visit is one of those, and in terms of political activities.
Standing NATO Maritime Group 2 visit, it's very significant. NATO standing naval groups are visiting for many years, and Georgian Coast Guard have very extended, well-organized cooperation. This cooperation serves to improve Georgian capabilities, Georgian and NATO, both sides actually, and knowledge about each other, to facilitate the cooperation, military cooperation, practical cooperation, to know how to work together in these international teams in support Georgia, eventually even to support Georgian membership to NATO.
The visit of these 4 vessels of NATO countries to the port of Poti has 2 primary objectives. I mean, the first one is practical. This is another example of the practical cooperation that NATO and Georgia have together. The vessels were supposed to train together with the Georgian Coast Guard, and this is part of a process to support the Coast Guard to get to NATO standards and be able to operate together with the NATO forces. The second purpose was political. I mean, NATO attaches great importance to the security in the Black Sea. You understand that, I mean, we have 3 NATO countries that are littoral countries, 2 of our closest partners, Georgia and Ukraine, that are also littoral countries. We have a distinct interest to make sure that navigation and activities in the Black Sea take place according to international agreements. The security in the Black Sea is a very important area of this partnership. We have worked out a very complex agenda of engagements. We have an average of 2 visits of NATO ships to the Black Sea per year in Georgia, and we have a very tight calendar of trainings and activities. The presence of NATO ships is a very clear indication that NATO cares about the Black Sea, and that we stand next to our, of course, the allied members that look on the Black Sea, but also our partners, Georgia and Ukraine.
NATO and Georgia cooperates according to the NATO and Georgian military plans. And according to these military plans, we have a lot of activities scheduled here in Georgia or in other countries. NATO supports an eventual perspective, NATO membership for Georgia.
To me, cooperation on Black Sea security is a very good example of how working together is beneficial for both NATO and Georgia, because it makes us safer and more secure, both NATO and Georgia.